Yo, yo, yo! Welcome to Loop City. I'm your host, Mike Skills. We are a group of five guys that love hoops, entertainment, and video games. Today we have GonzoStar, Coach Matt, Pistol Pete Toll, shout out Rad Rims, traveling. Without further ado, on today's show, we're going to get into Quin Snyder stepping down in Utah. We're going to talk about the latest sneaker news to pop up. But first, the most important thing, game two just ended. Golden State ended the series. Boston came out kind of flat in that second half. But without further ado, I'm gonna go to Gonzo. Gonzo, what did you see tonight that made you um I mean, damn man, what did you see tonight?
Well, I kind of saw what Pete saw. It was Golden State was switching everything, but also too. I know Golden State can switch everything, but part of this is a lot of this is to blame on Boston too. The series, Jason Tatum can't be a guy that's just always trying to get his shot.
Yeah.
He has to be more like Jason Tatum in the first game. Not saying shoot bad, we want him to shoot better, but he has to learn how to get more people involved. Because it seems like
Yes.
him and Jalen Brown were just forcing shots. They were trying to get something going. And sometimes it's about getting the other people going first. I think that's I think in this series that's more important. I heard Bill Russell say before that one of the keys to the reason why they beat Will Chamberlain so much is because in the first three quarters they let Will take all the shots and score as much as he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And when the fourth quarter came, he said we locked Wilt up, and Wilt would have to pass to his teammates. And by this time, his teammates had no rhythm because they hadn't been touching the ball the whole game. And he
Mm-hmm.
said they're airballing and bricking shots. It's the same thing. You got to get
Mm-hmm.
role players involved early. You can't keep trying to get your shot. Because Jason Tatum, don't get me wrong, he was like 5 for 7 from three in the first half, but he was like 7 for 16 shooting. That's not even 50%. So it's not like your shot was just shooting too many shots when you're trying to get the ball to everybody else. Uh, I expect this too. Also, the refs. Uh, I hate when people say stuff like, "Oh, no, it's not the officiating." Oh, in fairness, no, there's no fairness. We knew this was going to happen today because clearly, a lot of those fouls were phantom fouls. Like that one foul, I think when was it Draymond went up for a layup, or was it Steph?
Yeah. No,
Nobody
no.
It was,
touched.
it, was-
Oh
it
no.
was yeah, yeah, I know
It,
too.
wa-
With
it was
Jalen
Gary
Brown,
Payton, Gary
yeah,
Payton Jr.
yes, with Jordan, and
Nobody
then they called
touched
the
him.
foul on Jalen Brown.
Nobody touched him.
Draymond and Jalen Brown, it wasn't the foul, so called. Just watch. If you go watch the replay again, look at Draymond's right foot kind of kicked him after he
And he
got
shoved
mad.
him.
He shoved him.
Yeah.
That didn't warrant the tech. Another play on the other end when they said Marcus Smart pushed Draymond out of bounds. He never even touched Draymond. Draymond fell out
hmm
of bounds. Oh, but what about Jordan Poole when he reached up trying to grab Derek White's leg? Gonna say, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
protecting my face." Oh, you protect your face by grabbing legs, huh? Instead of just putting your hand over your face, bro. Let me tell you something. And, and,
Keep going. Keep
and I'm going,
going.
and I can't let up on this because I'm tired of this thing. We live in this world now where when you start talking about what's wrong with the NBA, everybody's like, well, it's part of the game. No, these games are rigged, man. We have to stop lying. We have to stop making it seem like it's not, just because we want to be in the NBA community. Look, let me tell you something. I'm being honest. I ain't kissing behind to get in the NBA community. It's either like what I say or you don't. But I'm gonna say this much: these NBA games are rigged, man. It's rigged.
Wow.
They are rigged. They're rigging the games, and I'm pissed about it.
Wow. Wow. I don't even know how to follow that, man. Like, what do you follow up to that? Like,
I mean, I can follow up with Boston's just got to be better. Like, to be honest, the supporting cast of Tatum and Brown, you got Marcus Smart, 5 turnovers to go with his 5 assists with 2 points. Obviously, we don't rely on Marcus Smart scoring, but at least make the defense work a little bit.
yeah.
Al Horford didn't have it tonight. 1 of 4, 4 attempts for Al Horford, no threes attempted. Where's Tatum with the drive and kick to an open Al Horford for a splash three? Those easy buckets just weren't there because Tatum, like, Gonzo said, decided to take horrible shots. There was many times where he forced it and got stripped, and easy buckets for Golden State, which got them momentum on the other end. Then you look at Jalen Brown. He had it going early. And then once Tatum got going, he faded to the background, and it's like Jason Tatum has to know, all right, Jaylen Brown was already hot. Let me get some easy buckets, kick out to him. Let me kind of divert the defense to me. Then Jaylen can either get a drive, pull up, or take it all the way to the rim, get an easy dunk. Got a couple timely threes from Derek White when he was wide open. But outside of that, Tatum's just got to be better. Jaylen Brown's got to be better with the decision making. I mean, how do you only have Robert Williams for, one attempt? You can't get that man 3 or 4 dunk attempts on easy cuts to the basket or some lobs. I mean, just all around, like, that's so easy for Golden State to have taken this game, because even though Klay Thompson struggled shooting, they didn't really need it because Jordan Poole picked up the slack. Right. And then Steph Curry was like, he had a little bit of an off night, compared to what he normally does. But Boston played right into Golden State's hands. It's like, all right, Golden State's struggling, and it was, kind of a chess match going into the second half. But coming out, Klay Thompson hits the 3, and then just everything kind of goes to the wayside for Boston. Udoka gets a tech, and it's like, I guess he's trying to get the tech to fire his team up, and his team just said, "Nah, man, you got it. We're good with we're good with getting the split in San Francisco. Let's take it back to Boston." But this is where Boston needed to kind of really push forward. If they could have got this 2-0, then it would have put a lot of pressure on Golden State going forward. Now Golden State has to feel good because they really should be up 2-0, but they had a mental collapse, just defensively as well in the first game. Now they hit them in the mouth in this game. And if they can take the next game in Boston, it's tough for Boston if they don't change what they're doing. Defensively, the lapses, I can see them cleaning that up, but offensively, they've got to rework what they're doing.
Yeah. The turnovers were huge. Coach Matty, how did those turnovers set a bad trend in the first half?
Well, when you turn the ball over, you don't get a chance to set your defense up. And we know Boston is one of the 3 best defensive teams in the NBA, along, with Miami and, of course, Golden State. But first, I'm going to throw this out there. I said it in the thing. Who would have ever thought that in an NBA Finals game, Sauce Castillo would make a 3-point shot? And I believe he got an assist. Yep. Sauce Castillo in the stat sheet. I just had to throw that out there.
3 points for Nick Stauskas in the NBA Finals, 0 points for the entire Sacramento Kings organization. Just want to put that out there.
Boom. And hey, and one thing I did notice behind the Boston bench was Vivek Ranadive. Yes.
Yeah, I guess he's getting a glimpse of what could happen.
I noticed it. Yeah. He's the one who wanted Stauskas, so kudos to Mr. Ranadive. But I noticed one thing. I think it was Van Gundy was talking about it this evening, and it was true. The second half on the screens with Steph Curry, Boston was back in that drop coverage, and you saw 3. Like, why would you change that up? That's one of the things I noticed, and then I'm glad Pete mentioned no 3-point shots for Al Horford tonight. He went 6 for 8, but it's why I was, I didn't think we would get that Al Horford again. He's good for one game a series with offensively. He's going to be good. He's going to play the defense. I'm not saying he's going to be bad, but games like that, Derek White, he was decent tonight, but he wasn't the guy we saw in game 1, and we didn't expect that as well. But I'm glad I noticed Gonzo mentioned Jason Tatum about more like what he did in game 1. No, of course, not the bad shooting, but the 13 assists. He was getting everybody involved throughout the whole game. He was missing his shots, but he was hitting everybody else. And if I'm not mistaken, and Pete, you may know this too. Is it true 13 assists is the most assists by a player in his debut in the finals? Did I see that correctly tonight? For a debut.
I think so. For a debut, yes.
Yeah. I think that is a record, because when you get 13 assist range, you're talking about Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if Jason Kidd or John Stockton had a 13 assist finals game.
Yes, and I noticed another thing. My dad is always, in his coaching, he always preached this to me. He coached his teams, even now watching all these games. He always talks about scoring first and last in the quarter, right? First score,
absolutely.
last. First quarter, Golden State hits the 3, they get a 2 at the end, that's 5. Same thing in the third quarter. That's 10 points right there. That was huge. Yes, I know it was a deep 3 by Poole at the buzzer, but still, that's 10 points. That you're playing. If you're Boston, now you're playing at a -10 already, and they weren't playing well as it was. You know,
and that shot was almost a dagger when you think about it in the
it was
context of the game.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Poole was much better tonight. Was he great? No. I mean, they're playing with the lead. But, I mean, you saw the last game, he had 7 points. And Pete was correct. They should have – they had the first game won. Were they up 12 or 14 in the last game going into the fourth?
I think –
Was it 12 or 14?
I want to say it was 14 because they started that quarter on like a 7-0 run.
Right.
And then it eventually ballooned to 20-0. And I was like, how are they up in this? How are they up 6? So I think it was a 14.1.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of talk. You know, you hear it especially when you're on Twitter, especially with the Warriors fans. Oh, you know, screw Steve Curry. He should, after the first quarter of the game, he should have kept Curry in the game. I mean, what's he gonna do? Play the whole game?
Yeah, no. They're gonna save him for later.
Yeah.
As the series goes on, because like I said, I saw people say, "Oh, this series is over. Golden State's gonna take this series. Boston got their win." Like. Whatever. I don't think so. Boston's too good of a defensive team. If they can go back to – because this is more of the selfish game that Boston was playing at the beginning of the year than it was the team landscape type game where it's like everybody kind of does their part. They know their role. Tatum and Brown can still be elite, but other guys are stepping up for a 3 here, a cut and a 2 here, get to the line, get some free throws. There was like stagnant movement all around for Boston. It was like, let's watch Tatum and Brown. Like, what are they going to do? Oh, Tatum got ripped. Like, there we go. Fast break points for Golden State. Like, Peyton Pritchard didn't play well. Like, Derek White shot a lot for being Derek White. And, like, the floater just wasn't there. So that's easy points that he normally gets. Finding Robert Williams, like I said earlier, would have been good. It just seems like this was just an off night for Boston. And if I know Ime Udoka, I mean, he's going to be livid after this, but he's also going to be a teachable coach or teachable to his players as a coach and have them in the film room and say, hey, guys, these are adjustments we need to make. And I will go ahead and say now I think Boston's going to take the next one in Boston. It's going to be 2-1 Boston because I think that Tatum wants this enough that he knows where, hey, I don't have to be the 13 assist guy, but if I can be 5-6 timely assists, and then Jaylen Brown could give me 3 or 4, and then Marcus Smart's not turning the ball over 5 times, and those 5 assists come in handy. That's 15 assists right there. From 3 of your main guys. That's timely all around. And then if you can get 8 points, 10 points from Robert Williams, and 12 to 14 from Al Horford, this is a different ball game. And I will say this now also. Draymond Green's going to get kicked out of one of these games.
Oh, yeah.
Throughout the season.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
So.
And I'm glad he didn't get a double tech on that one little run in with Jaylen Brown. I thought that was a BS little run in. That happens a million times during the game. I thought if you're going to give them double techs for that, and I'm glad the referees, like Steve Javie even said it from the replay center. He was like, look, that's something referees take into account because it was really nothing there. And when they looked at that happens every play. But he will get kicked out of a game in this series. He will get a second technical, and it's probably going to be in Boston, and it might be in Game 3. It might just be in Game 3. That's crazy. I've learned several things on this pod. I learned that we think the Sacramento Kings are the worst franchise in the sport. In all professional sports, the worst franchise in all professional sports. I believe that was Coach Matt. Gonzo, the NBA is rigged. Pete, turnovers are the worst thing ever. and Golden State and Boston just loves just handing out turnovers. It's like they got a bakery. Like, who wants a turnover? We got apple, we got cinnamon, we got blueberry. We giving out turnovers. Well, speaking of things changing up, switching up, what do y'all think Boston has to do to take the series back in game 2, other than obviously take care of the ball, more shots, better shots, better ball movement, creating opportunities with Tatum and Brown. But more importantly, what do their bigs have to give them? Because I was just thinking about Daniel Tice, Robert Williams, and Horford. I was like, Looney kind of did it, he didn't have to do anything tonight. It was kind of an off night. He was kind of like, all right, I'm just chilling.
Rebound the ball.
I want to say this. I forgot to mention this. In that second quarter, I wanted to say this earlier. Bielitsa gave them a huge boost.
Oh, yeah!
Because he can stretch the floor, and he's quick enough.
But defensively, he made a couple of plays, which you don't expect, and then he made some layups. Yeah, and I wanted to throw that out there. We got to give Bielitsa his flowers this game, because it was just a 3-4 minute stretch, but he really put some energy with the Golden State team tonight.
Robert Williams' timing looks off defensively. Yeah. He usually gets a lot of those blocks and is able to come over in the tight windows and at least alter the shot if he doesn't block it. It just looks off. And then obviously Al Horford having the big first game, you knew he was probably going to come out maybe a little bit slower, not prime Al Horford. But I didn't expect the Al Horford that we had tonight. Obviously, rebounding wise, he wasn't bad because he had the 8 rebounds, but I feel like him being able to get, a couple assists, being able to get a couple threes, that gets him going, and that kind of changes to where Looney has to come out and get him, or Draymond has to come out, like whoever is playing defense has to come out more, which opens up other areas on the floor. That, and I think Boston's defense has to work harder to be able to get those easy transition scores, to get guys going in a rhythm other than Tatum and Brown, or even if it is Tatum and Brown, you get them easy too. Then you saw it with Tatum once he got the little turnaround fade away in the post. He got that easy bucket there. Then he was able to splash a 3, step to his left, splash another 3, and it gets him in rhythm. Unfortunately, Jaylen Brown just never got back into rhythm. Yeah. And that was kind of where it went. So I'd like to see them not trade off 1-2. Let's, hit a timely 3, get it to another guy. Let's put, pressure on Golden State's defense to look to guard everybody, or at least 4 of the guys on the floor, not just 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gonzo, were you counting the missed free throws? Or the missed layups by Golden State in that first half, where it just seemed like Wiggins was blowing a layup, Steph was blowing a layup. It was just like it was an ugly layup line. Like I was triggered by those missed layups, thinking about my old high school basketball coach. Like, oh, we're running all next practice. Y'all missing layups, y'all missing free throws. Like, what? When you saw that, did you think Golden State was about to blow this game?
No, I didn't, because I think the refs are going to keep him in it anyway. But no, seriously. But I think part of the reason why they missed those layups is because Boston defense is kind of like it's pretty physical, and they kind of keep somebody in front of you. So I think a lot of times it's just nervousness. That's just one of those natural things you're dealing with a good defensive team. You're gonna make some missed layups, and things of that nature, man. But what really hurt Boston, man, and I kind of get mad. I'm not even mad. I understand Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum want to make their mark on the game, but there's other ways to do it. But also, too, man, just thinking of the other players in the game, Horford and Grant Williams. Yes. Robert Williams didn't play that much, as much as I thought he should have in certain situations. He also didn't play with the urgency he did in game 1, just as Pete said, because in game 1 he was diving for loose balls on the floor.
Yeah.
He didn't do any of that tonight. Marcus Smart kind of played almost like he was kind of gassed. The way they were rotating was just like it was almost like they were at a standstill. Like, and I'm gonna tell you something too. But I want to see more of. I like Derek White at the top of the key, kind of running the point position. I don't like him in the corner that often.
Yeah.
Because when he's in the corner, he's kind of just standing still. But when he's kind of running the point, he's able to kind of like, run a pick and roll, but he's also able to dish and and then after he passes the ball, he knows how to move to the corner or go back to the perimeter properly. But the way they had the defense tonight, he was always just standing in the corner. He's like doing nothing.
And every time Tatum brought the ball up, he turned it over a lot of the time. Same with Brown. He can't dribble. Why are these guys? I get Udoka wanting to bring them up and get them out of their comfort zone, have them bring the ball up, get them out of their comfort zone, do all those things. But this is the NBA Finals. Get it to your ball handlers that can make a play. Then you get, you can get a screen. You can get Tatum off of that on that switch of who he wants to get. Like, say, like Bielitsa. Every time he had Bielitsa, it's like, dude, why are you settling for this, side step three? Take his ass to the hole, draw a foul, stop Golden State's momentum. Like, what are you doing?
Absolutely.
Same with Brown. Draw the foul. Why are you pulling up from right before the free throw line? Like, don't do that. Like, get all the way to the line. Easy points. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's the finals. Golden State will take you out in a heartbeat if you give them a chance. It's like, Boston should have kept their foot on the gas from the get-go. And I knew when it was 52-50 at halftime, I was like, if Boston comes out slow, it's going to be over. And, of course, a 14-point quarter? I mean, you can't have that in the NBA Finals.
No, you can't have that. And not against that team because Steve Kerr's pedigree has learned from those late 90s Bulls and even the time that he was in San Antonio. It's like those championship teams, they come out of the halftime and they try to put it on you in the third quarter so they can ice their knees in the fourth, so they can rest and just cruise to a win. And that's what Golden State did tonight. That was a textbook case of how you put a team away in the third quarter and put it on autopilot. Speaking of autopilot or flying away, Quin Snyder has been reported and how it was rumored for weeks is stepping down from his position in the Utah Jazz. And I mean, first, I just want to say that I think he maxed out the talent there. I think he did a good job of developing players. I just think it's a situation where if you go back to the bubble and maybe they win that series against the Nuggets and then they lose that series and the next year they blow that second round series to the Clippers without Kawhi, I think those two major losses haunted them in the playoffs. And then also, since winning cures all, losing certainly makes the disease worse. Mitchell and Gobert clearly don't get along. And I think Royce O'Neal is like tired of it too from that one game in the playoffs. But I just want to hear what you guys think about Quin Snyder's time in Utah. And if your team needs a head coach, where do you think he should go? Pete, what you got?
Well, first, I think Quin Snyder is going to sit the year out because I think it was more of a mental thing. He was just exhausted. Because at this point, Donovan Mitchell should be on the same level as like a Jason Tatum, stardom, and to me, he's not. He's on the Trae level of defense, Trae Young level of defense, where he can't guard a chair. Then you put him on offense, and the shot selection is so bad, and he doesn't pass. Only when he's in trouble. It's like, come on, dude, you're supposed to be a superstar that's carrying his team now. Like, he's so kind of taken back by the Quin Snyder firing. It's like, dude, just go ahead and say you want to go to the Knicks. We already know that's where you want to be is New York. You're going to sit there and drag this out and then say, oh, well, I really want out of Utah. Danny Ainge has no ties to anybody there taking over the front office. So everybody can go at this point. The rumors are Rudy Gobert is going to eventually get traded. The supporting cast of Bogdanovich and Royce O'Neal probably get moved. Mike Conley, if you can move his contract. Utah's not a free agent destination. So it's kind of like
Not at all.
I think Quin Snyder saw the writing on the wall. Rather than get fired, I want to go out on my terms because he's right. Like this team maximized what they could do. Like they're not going past the first, maybe second round at the most. Like it's just not happening. Like Gobert's not an offensive weapon. Your offensive weapons on the perimeter of Bogdanovich, who is a good complementary third, really should be a fourth guy that can hit a bunch of jumpers. And then Conley's kind of past his prime as a point guard. So it's like, if he can't guard, you're definitely not getting Donovan Mitchell to guard. You have no other defenders except for Royce O'Neal on the perimeter. So it's kind of like, what are you really going to accomplish in Utah? If it was me personally, like I said, Quin Snyder takes the year off. I personally would love to see him go to Philly and take over for the fired Doc Rivers because I think that's where it's headed. Because I think Philly's going to fall short with the way that this team is built unless they make some major sweeping moves to get a third guy in the offseason. So then that leaves Quin Snyder to come in and change things up there. If that doesn't happen, then he goes to the Spurs under Popovich or takes over for Popovich.
Interesting. Coach Miller, what you got on it? Because I know we had this talk about small guards and particularly Conley and Mitchell together getting abused in the playoffs.
Conley's old. We just gotta say he's old. He's had some injury history throughout, so it's just he is what he is at this point in his career. And it's not saying anything bad. It's just, I mean, what is he? 34, 35 years old now. He's had injury history. It just is what it is. But I think this team, I think Quin Snyder saw the rebuild was coming. You know, so with Quin Snyder, I'm with Pete on this and that he should take the year off, but go to TNT for a year. Call some games. He's got a personality. I like his personality. Go to TNT, call some games for a year. And then when one of these big, you know, when one of these attractive jobs opens up, well, I mean, what does that say about the Lakers? Like, you know, he could have went there, but he didn't want to.
No,
you know,
I think with the Lakers, though, they were better going with Darvin Ham because he's going to hold the team accountable.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you got to hold Russ and LeBron and all them accountable at this point. Stop babying.
Yeah.
I don't think Quin Snyder wanted to coach LeBron.
No, I wouldn't either.
No.
I wouldn't want to coach Russell Westbrook because the mandate basically is figure out a way to win with Westbrook. And we all know he's not ever winning a title, so good luck.
Yeah, that's what I think. And then I think, you know, go to TNT for a year, you know, go work with those guys, call some games, do the, you know, and look what the attractive jobs are. You know, he's one of the best 5 coaches in the league. You know, obviously this year there's some openings, Charlotte, but does he want to coach the Charlotte Hornets? No.
Yeah.
Exactly. So just wait till a job opens up and then just go take an attractive job. Because you know, one of these good teams, if they fall short of expectations, knowing Quin Snyder's out there, they will fire their head coach and go pick up.
Absolutely.
It's just how it works.
And Pete is just hoping that the Sixers start 7-19 next year or 7-13, and they're just like, you know what, Doc, the writing's on the wall.
Or Pete, it works out for your Sixers and their NBA champions at the end of next year, right? Possibly it happens.
I just don't trust Harden and Daryl Morey, but
you don't think Tobias is the third guy.
No.
So I'm gonna ask Gonzo because we don't want to root against people and be like, oh, they should be fired. But the reality is, you do a bad job, you should be fired. Gonzo, who on the hot seat should be extra nervous going into the season, knowing that Quin Snyder's out there and their team is probably going to take their job? Probably going to be like, you know what? We can give your job to Quin and he can do a better job with less.
Well, before we get to that part, Pete said that Russell Westbrook does have a title. Hold on, we must remember this. He's the king of the triple dummy. Fourth quarters. He definitely has a title in the department. But I can see Quin. I can see Quin. Doc Rivers losing his job. Let me tell you something. Doc Rivers has gotten away with the coaching job, and I told you that. I told you. And he talked about it. And they named him as one of the greatest coaches in NBA.
I fell out of my seat when I saw that. That man lost. That man was a loser every year before and every year since that title in Boston.
I wish I could have seen Pete's face when that list came out. I wish I could have seen Pete Gonzo's face when that
How are
list
you going to
came
leave
out,
off Rudy
and they got
Tomjanovich, but you
Yeah.
add Doc Rivers?
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's all. And Pete, you be like taking the words right out of my mouth. Like, man, seriously, like, who wrote that list? Whoever wrote that list should be fired.
You know it's Nick
No
Wright.
way.
Nick Wright or Stephen A. Smith. Somebody had a hand in that has no basketball IQ
Yeah.
and got on TV for some hot take reason,
Yeah.
and they just need a JJ Redick to come expose them.
And I like to be honest with the fans. When I talk, I'm talking from when it comes to basketball. I'm talking from a fan's perspective. You guys actually play organized basketball. I didn't, but one thing I have learned, and I learned a lot about basketball. I have two buddies actually who are coaches, and they play college ball. So a lot of things I learned through them. But also, I've learned when they showed me how to watch film and what to look for and things of that nature, and that has helped me kind of learn basketball, not just from just a scoring standpoint, but from X's and O's, how to play defense. It's taught me a lot. And a lot of things I'm trying to understand, like, what are people watching in this world? Like, what makes them come up with some of these things? Like, and now I understand it. It's like, there's a lot of people out here who are idiots. And I'm not trying to disrespect people, but even you have to look at a lot of these analysts, the things that they say. I'm saying to myself, like, wow, you're really at this position based on what? Because everything you say is freaking stupid.
And you could tell they didn't watch the game at all.
And they didn't watch the game at all.
They watch highlights or look at the box score, and that's what they're going off of.
Spewing a ton of nonsense. I'm shocked at some of the things they said, and nobody ever corrects it. I'm just looking like, wow. Like, don't get me wrong. I got upset the other day, and I had to start to. It made me want to pull the rest of my hair out of my head. Draymond said that Steph Curry was guarded double teams seven times more than Kevin Durant in the finals, because that's what Tyronn Lue said. Of course, Tyronn Lue was going to say that because Kevin Durant was the one busting him. He wasn't going to tell you that we had to double team Kevin Durant. See, nobody wants to give, and I want to make this clear to Golden State fans. Kevin Durant, I would have done things a little different. I would have been quite petty. I would have stayed and made them get rid of Draymond to show you who's back. Woo! That's what I would have done. I would have stayed and say, get rid of this clown because I'm staying. Because I'm going to keep winning rings with the fellas. Get rid of him. He's useless. That's what I would have done.
No, see, I think Draymond, in the way that he helps initiate the offense, is just as valuable as his defense. I think where Kevin Durant made the mistake is he thought that he could go lead in Brooklyn, but he made the mistake of Kyrie Irving being his sidekick.
Yes.
There's no way in the world I would have picked Kyrie Irving as my sidekick. And you watched Kyrie Irving, basically lose before LeBron got to Cleveland, couldn't carry it in Boston, and then he gets a title with LeBron. It's LeBron. So it's like, they had the best chance to win. You had Kevin Love, who was, if people forgot, averaged 27 points a game at one point. Mm-hmm. They just think, like, a lot of people now are like, oh, Kevin Love sucks because he's averaging 15 points a game. And I'm like, you didn't see the Kevin Love from, 09, 2010, 2011 that was killing it on the boards, and he was out of shape at that point.
And not even just that. In the deciding Game 7 of 2016, they made the two critical plays at the end of the game in addition to LeBron's block. LeBron blocks Iguodala. They come down. Kyrie gets the step-back three over Curry. And then Curry has the ball, and who checks him on the perimeter? It's Kevin Love. Right. So it's like people diminish Kevin Love, act like he didn't do anything. But no, you're absolutely right. KD messed up when he chose to team up with Kyrie, a guy who me and Matt went through this last week, a guy that has proven basketball is not his top priority.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, that's the guy you're going to hit your wagon to? You're going to
probably
ride
the greatest
with that
handles individually, I would say top 3 handles of all time.
Yeah, but the irony
mentality,
is, the irony
mentality's not there.
he can't handle the pressure. He can handle the rock, but he can't handle the pressure. He can't handle showing up and coming to training camp. He can't handle getting a little shot of a vaccine that the league made a mandate, which we can go up and down about that. But before the mandate, he decided, no, I'm not going to play in 2020. I'm not going to go to the bubble. Even though our team's in the playoff hunt, I'm not going to go to the bubble. Screw that. And then in 2021, I got my injuries because I get hurt all the time. Man, don't get me started on Kyrie.
I'm going to tell you something about Kyrie, though. Hold on. I didn't know this stat. He's only played 47% of his regular season games. At this point, he might as well file for unemployment.
Basically,
but you got to look at it too. He is
part-time.
up for a max extension. And he first he has a player option, which it's 50-50 at this point. But say he opts into it, then you're playing for the salary he's playing at. But if he opts out, what team is really going to come in and say we're going to pay you a max salary? It's going to have to be a lower tier team that has a lot of money, like a Orlando Magic has a ton of money. It's going to have to be something like that where a team just throws so much money at it.
Or a team with a stupid ass owner like Sacramento.
Even Sacramento, I don't think is that dumb at this point.
Yeah, Sacramento would have to be on the best designer drugs ever to be like, let's give Kyrie a 4 year.
Yeah, but Sacramento's probably looking more for like a Zach LaVine, like a backcourt partner for De'Aaron Fox.
Please take Zach LaVine.
I don't think they take
him, Sacramento.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, Mike, don't say that to Bulls Twitter. They're gonna roast your ass.
Hold on.
Hey, Bulls Twitter, let Zach go. But
at this point, though, I think the Bulls are going to collapse because if they don't have Lonzo healthy, it's going to be tough. I don't see the Bulls being as good next year.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have a long offseason to go, but, and I don't want to sidetrack, but back to Kyrie real quick, though, or Kevin Durant, rather, with that whole thing. I feel like even if they would have stayed together, I feel like somebody would have got bitter at some point. Klay Thompson would have got bitter of like, all right, my shots aren't here. Somebody would have got bitter. I feel like it's worked out the best it can. I feel like Golden State has the upper hand to take this series just based on having the experience and what I've seen. Tatum's up and down, Brown's up and down. I want Boston to take it because it does solidify to all the haters that Brown and Tatum should have been broken up.
Yeah.
And Al Horford, I want to see him win a title. But I'm not going to be salty if Golden State wins it because it's like, all right, that's a hell of a feat to have them come back together and win it. Yeah. Either way it goes, it's not LeBron and the Lakers winning the championship, so I'm good. So,
Yes. We almost got through this whole pile.
Hey, that's probably the perfect way to close it out right there.
That is the perfect way to close it out, man. I want to thank everybody for listening. Oh, wait a minute. Matt, did you have a sneaker segment this week or no?
We'll do it if we go on Wednesday after the game. Or
we'll do it. We'll do it then.
Yeah, because I want to save it. Because Greg,
we'll save it. We want the visuals.
Because I can't do the visual. Yeah, so I don't want to do that. Because we're going to talk about the Air. I'm going to talk about the Air Jordan 37.
Excellent. The leaked photos that came out, and we're going to talk some more.
Mike has seen the photos.
Yeah, the photo is pretty sick. They're nice colorways, but more importantly, we have more coming for you down the pipeline. We appreciate those of you that have been listening and following. Be sure to like and subscribe, share with your friends. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube, Loop City Podcast. Shout out Coach Matt Miller, Pistol Pete Toe, Greg, GonzoStar. Big shout out to Rad. We know you traveling, man. You still part of the fam, even though you ain't here. Represent. Be safe. And more importantly, we are out.